Hello, gardening friends. Today is Friday, February 17th. It's a little chilly today. We had about a half inch of rain last night and had a lot of things I've been working on in the yard, so I thought I would share them with you. Here you can see the Althea is starting to leaf out, and the blossoms on this tea olive are really coming out. They don't smell much right now because of the winds, but they do have a very strong, sweet fragrance. All four of my tea olives are in full bloom. This needle palm is almost big enough to move somewhere. I laugh because that's about the 5th or 6th time I moved that one. It was a seedling palm of mine in the backyard. Here you can see the royal velvet camellia is gorgeous. Look at the size of the blooms. They just seem to keep getting bigger and bigger. It is a really deep red color, almost black. I know it's hard to kind of get the exact coloration on YouTube video, or at least with my phone on this video. I did see that I have my little yellow daffodils blooming. They were planted 3 or 4 years ago, and they're coming up. Here you can see the daffodils that are from the backyard that I naturalized here, and they're doing nicely. Got some little white hyacinths blooming. You can see I cut back one of my grasses. I forgot the name of this particular, well, I didn't forget it. I never really knew the name of this particular grass. I may wind up moving that and maybe putting that palm here that I was telling you about, the seedling palm. I was expecting it to grow tall. I've never had good luck on this corner. I've had things that I want them to grow about 3 or 4 foot tall, and I've had either 20 foot tall or 2 foot tall. I've never quite gotten the height right there. Let's see, I did cut back on this side. I cut back my cassia. You see I have a little name tag there because that's one of the 3 plants in the front I always have a hard time remembering the name of. That will come back. And the stems were green. I probably didn't need to cut it that far to the ground, but it's going to grow very quickly. Here you can see I cut back one of the cycads. It's doing pretty well. I also trimmed the bottom branches of this cycad. These are the 2 females in the front yard, and they have hundreds of, you gotta be careful because there are thorns here, seeds look like that, and when they sprout they have little leaflets like that. I'm constantly pulling them out. Well, there you see a couple of seedlings right now down here. I should probably pot them up. It just seems a waste, but I don't really need any more. Here you can see my lilies of the Nile are coming back. We're due to have a frost tonight, so I'm not going to clean those up just yet. But I will have to bring my plants in one more time. I did notice on this female cycad that it is sending up a stalk in the center, which is good because both cycads here in the front that are females, they sent out no leaves last year. The whole year was devoted to just that flower stalk and producing the fruit. So now it's nice to see that it's sending out some leaves this year, which means I'm glad I didn't cut the dead leaves off. It didn't have any dead last year, and I cut the worst off this year, but I'm always reluctant with these old ladies in the front yard to cut the leaves off until I'm absolutely certain that they're going to send new ones out. Here you can see I cut back, of course, the African iris, and they're coming back already. The Australian tree fern is still unfurling. I'm not going to bother protecting it tonight. It's only supposed to get down near freezing. I will bring in the pelargoniums. My pride of Mobile azaleas are starting to bloom. Spring is here, although it doesn't feel like it today. I'd say it's probably in the 50s right now. Here you can see this is sprouted up already because that's how low I cut it, and it's already got a couple of inches of growth. So this area is coming together nicely. Let's see what's going on in the backyard. Baby is back here somewhere. I can't take too long with this video. I can smell it in the air. I've got a quiche going in the oven since it's going to be cold today and tomorrow. I thought today I would bake a quiche and tomorrow I would bake a pot roast. But I cut this down. This was the, I'd say probably about a 5-year-old African iris. It really likes this sunny location. And I took the time to uncover this rock wall. Oh, there's baby. She's coming back to visit. She's eaten and she's going to go. And in any event, I was talking about this little rock wall. It gets covered over by the ferns. They droop over it. And I really haven't had a chance to expose it in about 3 or 4 years, so it is nice to have the rocks back. I bought these. These are actually lava rocks I got many years ago, probably about 20 years ago now. They used to sell them at Home Depot and you paid by the pound. They don't carry them anymore, and since I grew up north, on my father's mother's property, they had about 50 acres in the woods, and all of the edges of the property had rock walls that had crumbled down through the years, and I was trying to recreate that feel here. Hence I've got this white crepe myrtle coming up through the rock wall, and the moss has just taken over on the rocks, which is fine. I was surprised when I was cleaning everything out that this particular Lenten Rose has got a blossom. Oh, I just stepped on some daffodils. It hasn't opened yet, but I'm tickled to see the fact that it's got blossoms, because that means they will live in this zone. I had read in Horticulture magazine last year or the year before, and they said that Lenten roses would grow in a zone 8B. So I bought these 3 from the fresh market last year. This one has done the best growth-wise. It's a beautiful plant, even though it gets stepped on every now and then, but no flowers. And this one, although it has some new growth, it's the only one that's bloomed, but I'm just tickled to see that the Lenten Rose is blooming. Up north, they bloom about the same time, and they actually, cold will not hurt them. I've actually seen them in the property I used to have up north. They actually do bloom in the snow. It doesn't bother the flowers at all. Here the daffodils are still blooming. New ones have opened and old ones are dying. Here you can see my Encore Azalea is absolutely in full bloom, considering I just planted it this fall. This here is Alstroemeria, Peruvian lily. It's a wild kind. I actually stopped by the side of the road and dug this out of a corner lot that was abandoned. Someone owned it, but it was abandoned. And I planted these Alstroemeria in my backyard, and I soon learned that they spread like wildfire. However, they do have a nice flower on them. So I'm kind of just restricting them. Really, I want them just up against this garage. I really need to go ahead and do that wall work before the Alstroemeria get too much bigger, because they're going to get trod upon when we work on that wall. I don't know if you can see inside the garage, but I have a amaryllis blooming, and also you can just barely make out my poinsettia is blooming. That's the one that I got 2 years ago and kept alive in the same floral pot that it came in, or foil wrap pot that it came in, and it has blossoms on it. A little bit late for Christmas, and they're not spectacular, but it is blooming. So success. Little miracles. Here, Encore Azalea again. I don't think there's an awful lot going on over here, other than, of course, I cleaned up this African iris as well. Here you see the Cyclamen are still doing fine. This particular one, for some reason, is withering. So, not bad considering they've been in bloom since September or October. I forget which. You could go through the videos and find out. I've got some new growth coming on my pitcher plants. I need to clean them out. Actually, I need to repot that. Probably means I'm going to break that pot in order to get that out. Ah, the outside grape hyacinths are blooming. Those are the ones I brought back from New York. And I did plant a few fresh ones in there this year. This is pineapple sage. I haven't talked about it much, but I've kept it alive from last year. Things are still sprouting and growing. Ligularia is coming back. That one's doing okay. I did clean this area up. Spent some time here this week. Still a little bit more to go. But I went ahead and cut back these 2 cycads because they had a lot of dead in it. Well, actually, one had a lot of dead in it. The other one not so much, but I couldn't just clean one up and leave the other. So I wound up cutting them both down. They'll do fine. Here you can see another Lenten Rose. This one I actually brought back from New York, and it's been in that pot now for 5 years or so. Hasn't really done much, so I may wind up getting it out of that pot and planting it near where those others are planted that are blossoming. Here you can see all the sprouts on my Nico blue hydrangea. I think I told you I'm not doing anything to them this year. Not fertilizing, not acidifying. Last year I only had 1 blossom on 4 plants. I mean 1 blossom, period. 4 plants. Only 1 plant bloomed. I did go ahead and tie up this Fatsahedra. It looks pitiful right now, but it'll sprout out again. And that plant and the lion's head is doing well. I did bring it in for the really, really cold frost. But I've left it out, and I will leave it out for tonight. It's been in that pot now for, I want to say 3 or 4 years. The original plant died out, and then all of these other sprouts took over. I still have to clean up my lady palm, but I'm waiting till all danger of frost is over before I do anything with that. Here, not much is going on. Things are just staying green. Of course, you see the grass. The lawn looks absolutely gorgeous. It was mowed earlier this week. I didn't mention it in the front yard, but it's so nice to have grass back again. My lilies are doing well. I don't know if the ones out at the street are going to survive the construction. They're milk and wine lilies at the front. These are a white, and they take forever to get established. I know, I think I waited about 5 years for the milk and wine at the corner of my property to bloom. My strawberries have flowers, and I did go ahead and buy new plants, bare root, and I went ahead and repotted all of the empty spots in these 2 strawberry pots with new plants. So we'll see how they do. And I cleaned up back in there, got rid of the couple of banana trees that were back in there, and you can see the ferns are coming out. Still have forsythia blossoms. They are the most persistent flowers. They're not spectacular, but they are persistent. They've been there for over a month now. More daffodils starting to bloom here. Full disclosure, I have a lot of daffodils. They all don't bloom every year, but some do every year. So you have to just have a bunch of them, and hopefully a few will bloom each year. There you can see the wandering dude coming back from the leaf litter. I told you you can't kill that stuff. More daffodils coming out here. I don't see any flower buds. They may come out a little later. And way back in the corner is a Snowball Viburnum. I don't see any flower buds on it, but it's one of the first spring bushes to bloom for me. And I think that's about it for today. I did reach a milestone yesterday. Yesterday was the 1-year anniversary of putting these videos out. And so hopefully I'll be around another year to put out another year's worth. So have a good day. I have to go check on my quiche because it's time to turn it down to 350 for the next 30 minutes. Have a good day.